It just brings me to like this like line I used to say years ago, which is like, I can't wait for the science. It's just like, I like,
Does.
I am not willing to wait for you science
No.
people to tell me what I already know. Like,
Don't wait.
so I'm not anti-science. I don't mind
Right.
the studies. But
Right.
like, thank goodness I met Alyssa 10 years ago and she's changed my life completely because of her work. It wasn't like, oh, let me just put this information aside because science hasn't proved it yet. That would have been not the right thing for my path.
It's insane. It's insane. Don't wait. And don't wait for anyone to tell
Don't wait
you.
for anyone or anything. Exactly.
No,
Like,
you're your own
oh my
authority.
gosh.
Don't wait. Someone in a lab coat's not there to tell you it's okay. Put the lab coat on yourself and look in the mirror and say it's okay. Because you are. Yeah, you're your own authority. You're your own authority. I'm here in my studio, and it's like the past 3 days because we haven't had any rain in a month. It's made this little nest. It's so awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
awesome.
like dark and there's thunder and storming, and I'm just like making art, sitting here in the studio. Like, it's great.
Amazing. That's so
Yeah.
good. Is the studio separate from your house or is it?
No, we moved to literally like I couldn't have created or manifested a better house. Like, I got shit that I didn't even know I wanted. But
Love
it's
it
so
when that happens.
Don't you love it? Like, the key is like exactly how I want it. I'm like, I didn't think about that, but I like, universe, you thought of it for me. So the lowest level, which I've never had before, this large of a studio, it's in the lowest level of the house. And but it doesn't feel like a basement because only part is underground, but then there's a big window and there's like a big ballet studio mirror. Dude, yeah, because I didn't want to take it out because they don't even make mirrors like this anymore. It's from the 80s. It's like an older, modern house, but I love the quirks about it. And it's super easy to make it your own.
Yeah. Oh, that's so wonderful. I love hearing that.
I am so stoked, beyond stoked. There's not a correct adjective for excitement about this. Because I have questions because I had approached steaming as before, and I was so like I was afraid of my own body at the time, right? So very, very beginning of the healing journey and learning about really how our whole bodies work and like who I am, especially in an embodied cyclical way. And yeah, it was just too much at one time. And so I'm so glad that I have revisited. I'm so glad I have revisited. And I'm saving up to get one of your steaming kits because I think they're fucking fabulous and so useful. But I just did the toilet method.
Great.
Where I make these blends for each phase of teas. So follicular phase is different, ovulatory, luteal, early luteal, late luteal. And I just steamed that. So I'm drinking the tea, but I'm also drinking the tea. And I wanted to ask you if that was okay. Well, we'll get into it.
Yeah,
For those people, I feel like people are like going to be like, what the fuck? It's either going to be like, yes, how come you haven't done an episode about this until now? Or what the fuck are you doing?
What are you talking about now?
So I'm sat here with Kit Maloney, founder of Kitara. And what I love is that she actually started out in the second camp of skeptical, questioning, what the fuck are we doing now? So not immediately sold on Yoni Steaming. And then it went on to completely change her life. So we're talking, what does that mean? Pain-free cycles, fertility, pregnancies in her 40s, and reconnecting, like we were talking about, with the wisdom of the womb. So not like some abstract idea, but actually living that. She has lived that. And she has a master's from the London School of Economics, decades of experience in advocacy and womb health, and she is the host of the Womb Stories Project podcast. So she's not just talking about this. We're not just talking about this. She's lived it, she's tested it, and now she teaches it. But what really gets me is that this didn't just start out as like a business idea or brand. It literally started with her sitting down, like we were just talking about, and quite literally steaming with her shit. So I want to start there. What did that actually look like for you? Your face, your shit, steaming your shit moment. How did that lead you into this beautiful work?
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Meredith. Yeah, so just to pull in what you've been saying, I was supremely skeptical of Yoni Steaming when I first heard of it. And when I think of myself at the time where I think I first heard of it, it actually wasn't the time I first heard of it. I remembered years later that there were times people had mentioned this, and I was so closed off to it, it didn't even penetrate my awareness, right?
Yeah.
So actually, some friends were talking about it years before my feeling like the first time I heard about it occurred, which was in 2018. And I was at a workshop on female sexuality. I was way in my healing journey. I traveled the world, plant medicine, yoga instructor, all the things. And so not exactly thinking that I was walking around skeptical about new modalities, thinking the counter actually. And heard these women talking about steaming in circle. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
This is too weird, too much. And drove home from that workshop and something pinged me of like, pay attention to this skepticism. It's out of proportion. It's not for you anymore.
Right.
And so I booked that first steam when I got home for a couple days later. And my first steam was profound in how much it humbled me. And here I was really feeling pretty far into my womb health journey, particularly pretty far down the road of healing sexual trauma. And it just connected me to the really profound power of gentleness with ourselves and the gentleness that lives within the womb space.
Yeah.
And through that gentleness, we can really come into relationship with profound compassion, which I think really is one of the, if not the most healing energies we have for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that was this big opening for me. And I started steaming regularly at home and I started studying steaming. And at the time I was steaming in child's pose in my closet because that was where I was living the most private place and I didn't have any of the gear. And at one point I had candles all around and stuff. And at one point I was like, what's that smell? And I was burning my hair in a candle because I was in child's pose.
Oh my God.
Don't recommend it. And it was this like, you need to go and invest in the gear now, Kit.
Yeah.
You need to go get yourself a seat. You need to claim this practice as really important to you. And it was also here I'm doing really like heart womb work, emotional healing, trauma healing, spirituality work. But at the same time, my period went into just this totally pain-free zone that it's been in since I started. And that was this awareness of like all of these things are clicking and developing. And so I wanted to get myself a seat and I couldn't find one that I wanted. There were some that were like supremely functional, but then didn't really feel special. And when it comes to the womb, I think that our embracing of beauty and the intention of really seeing something made with the infusion of the healing energy that we're seeking through the practice is so important and meaningful to me. And so that's what I started building and sending to friends. And that created what is now Kitara. So that's how steaming has so changed my life And now this is the primary modality that I talk to people with about how it can help them on all of these different planes, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual as well.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
totally. Like I was saying
Yeah.
before, in my 2 weeks ago, a toilet journey adventure, I totally understand the setup, intentional setup, like very it's part of it's like probably one of the most important parts of the process because it's like I realize also because you're so high, if people do try to do it on the toilet, like you're saying in the video, because she has tons of information on this on the website. It's very like you have to find really the heat level that's right for you because it's so high. It's not like this just boil some herbs and then sit down. It has to be in like the right location, all of that. And I could totally see how you could, because once you're there, I could totally see how someone could just be on fire and just be sitting
Yeah.
and steaming.
Oh, okay. I'm like, can I do that? Like, my hair was much longer. It was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you like with what I was doing just intuitively, if people have like their own blends,
Mhm.
let's say, and I'm not sure maybe how you if you started this way, like of a certain tea or certain like concoction or herbal blend that you like, is there anything that's like off limits as far as
Mm.
when you sit down to steam?
Mhm. Well, what I will say is that not really, and then there are always
Okay.
exceptions, right? So, so, so one thing I really want to honor is the plants are working with us
Yeah.
all the time, whether we consciously know it or not. And there are some really beautiful examples I have of women coming to me and saying, "Hey, I don't know what herbs to use. I'm totally overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Actually, like you don't talk about this herb a lot, but this is what I'm called to." And
Right.
then it meets their intentions for steaming perfectly.
Right.
Or they'll say, I'll hear their symptoms and I'll say, "Hey, do you happen to have any herbs like growing around your house? Do you have rosemary in your
Yeah.
garden,
Yeah.
lavender, mugwort?" Herbs are so abundant. And I feel like they're just growing all around us, like waving at us. Like, over here, right now.
They are.
And they start growing around us, or we come to find ourselves living around them in the perfect timing. So that happens
Yeah.
all the time. And I say, just because it wasn't an herb that came through for me in designing our blends doesn't mean at all that it's off limits for steaming with. It is
Okay.
nice to connect with a practitioner. I think just to make sure if somebody's like perfectly attuned and aware that their womb is signaling the use of this herb, I think
Mhm.
it's extremely unlikely that it is counter indicated for them.
Right.
However, sometimes it's nice to get that little extra nod of support and reassurance that we truly are in alignment and not overriding with any sort of mental chatter about an herb. And you wouldn't want to steam with an herb that's really designed to create lots of extra cleansing if
Mm.
you're already having really short cycles, you know? And so there are these
Yeah.
times when you want to just be in consideration of that. So if somebody is like, I'm really feeling called to calendula because it's amazing and it's so beautiful, but they're in a phase where they're bleeding like every 2 weeks, I'd be like, this is
Yeah.
interesting. How can we get you to like be with calendula, which is super cleansing, in a
Mhm.
way that's going to be a little bit more gentle? So in that way, we might want to have them pair and bulk up their blend with some more strengthening herbs if they're feeling really called to one that's adding a lot of cleansing. So it's just
Got
those
it.
considerations.
Yeah.
But I love these conversations because sometimes people come to me and say, like, well, I know you have like all these blends. And so like, I hope this doesn't offend you, but like I want to create my own at home. Like this is the practice. This is like deepening like with your relationship to the herbs and how they're helping support your womb health. I am all for it. And it's really
Yeah.
beautiful to consider us having these gardens and just planting little pots of whatever herbs you want to steam with. So it doesn't need to be massive garden beds, but even a garden on your window or balcony that you go and pick
Yeah.
herbs from can just be so
Oh,
special.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. And it's like what you've curated and created here is just so, it spans generations. Like this is
Mhm.
healing ancestrally down the line. When we heal ourselves, we heal not just us, we heal our entire line. And the feminine collective as women, as we become more aware, all of the notions of the essence of femininity change, or, all of that, as you know. And of
Yeah.
course, the traumas around birth,
Mhm.
suppression, disconnection from our periods, being our cycles in general, not just in our menstruating years, menopause, perimenopause, our menstruating years, we've been told are a burden. And it's really our power. And the same thing with birth. It's that is could be a whole other episode, as I know you've given a
Mhm.
beautiful episode on some of your birth stories. So how does this practice begin to shift on an ancestral level? How would you say that it begins to contribute to that from your point of view?
Mhm. What a beautiful and important question. So they say that when we are doing our healing, we're healing backwards and forwards. And I think that's because we're always living in a way more multidimensional reality of time than we tend to honor in our culture.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to that ancestral healing, for me, it makes so much sense that it's stored in the womb. It's literally where the
Yeah.
ancestral line is
Yeah.
coming from.
Yeah.
And it's where our earliest signals were received. So it
Right.
also really, we think of if somebody's born into the world and then there's a lot of stress in the family or in the society or the culture, it makes a little bit more sense to the mind right now that if they're a newborn in that, then they might have some trauma starting in that space. But really, it's from the conception. And if mama is carrying a lot of stress or a lot of ease, those are really the earliest blueprints that we're stepping into,
Yeah.
receiving. And so considering how our womb is functioning in terms of our actual menstrual cycle health, but then also in our relationship, as you say, to the feminine, like how are we living that?
Yeah.
Because that information is going to be stored in the womb and carried through in the children that we birth through the womb.
Yeah.
And so that's one way of bringing the healing forward. And I think when we connect to bringing the healing backward, we're also seeing, for instance, fibroids come up for me a lot because
Wow.
I think that we have so many. So I haven't experienced them, but we work with hundreds of women to heal fibroids holistically and through steam.
Yeah.
And in supporting those journeys and witnessing them, it's really helped me understand how narrow our current understanding of DNA and
Yeah.
is. It's just like we're living with the tiniest bit of information from Western medicine right now
Oh,
about
yeah.
how things are inherited, or what's the word I'm looking for, Meredith?
The mitochondrial DNA?
Well, no, like when your grandmother has something and then your mother has it, it's not like
Oh,
inherited,
generational.
generational,
Yeah.
and yeah, you're at a higher risk, but it's sort of like this thing of
Oh,
like, oh,
genetic.
if
Yeah.
you're genetic, yeah, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's in our genetics, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, it is, but I think steaming has helped me see that there's also this trauma that's being passed down.
Yeah.
So it's like there are a lot higher instances of fibroids in the African American community. And I'm not convinced that's only because it's like genetic. I think what we're seeing is a
Yeah.
lot of a specific thread of trauma being carried in those communities. And so when we can start to work with healing in this gentle, profoundly feminine way, the reclaiming of safety within the womb,
Yeah.
we're owning that for the ancestry behind us that didn't have access to that in
Right.
a way that's like bringing me to tears. It's like, it's really powerful to
Yeah.
see in somebody's body and system and awareness that they're doing that work, and that the fibroids aren't just in this narrow way coming through because, oh, that's in my genetics, in sort of the way that it is so narrow is just the word that keeps coming to
Yeah.
me, described in certain spaces. So
Yeah.
that's
No, it's absolutely beautiful and so true. It's all time is, like you referenced, really happening at the same time. We're just experiencing it in this linear way, but it is not linear. It's our experience of it. So it's like this holdover or like this pause on like, imagine you have a conversation or an argument or something and you never get to the completion of that. Well, that lives in our body as fibroids, as endometriosis, as cancer,
yeah,
as whatever.
yeah,
And that is passed down generationally, genetically, however you want to say it. It's all
yeah,
speaking to the ancestral piece. And that's really what, even if you don't have that specific disease, we all carry it on because we're all connected until someone deals with it, until someone says, educates themselves. Even if I don't specifically have fibroids, we can all share in basically the pain and the experience of being shamed or burdened in our bodies. So it's like each of us healing that, and each of us even having these conversations, just acknowledgement, because that's like the first step in any of it is there's not even acknowledgement that it is happening and that it is real. That's what keeps the disease. That's what keeps the cycle going is denial. Once you put something in the light, you're aware of it and you can talk about it. It's like all healing begins from there, from telling the truth, you know?
yeah. Oh, so much. Yeah, it's funny. My computer right now is popped up on one of the boxes of our steam pots. And so I can see the little inscription which says, what is healed by one is healed for all.
Oh
And
my
that is
God.
so what
Yeah.
we believe and stand for with Kitara, because it's
Yes.
really I am profoundly grateful to all of us who are really tending to our womb health, because
Yeah.
it is reverberating and here for us all. And so that was just beautiful to hear you speak to that.
Yeah.
So
And for men
yeah.
too. I mean, this
Mhm.
conversation is not just because we all, as speaking of the mitochondrial DNA, we all, that is how our ancestral line is tracked through the mother. We live opposite in the West, where we take the name of the father and all of that. The whole other episode could be purposely designed about that. I made art about it, as you guys know. But that is biologically the biological truth of how we are traced is through the mother, her mother, her mother. Whether you're a man or a woman, your mitochondrial DNA, your ancestral line, is traced always through the mother because men don't carry that. So it's healing for men also
Mhm. Mhm.
in that sense,
Absolutely.
when because it's
Absolutely.
up to us. It's up to
Mhm.
us because we are carrying that. And when speaking of the pregnancy, fertility, and birth kind of piece of this, would you recommend steaming during pregnancy? What are like some of the boundaries around that?
Yeah. So this is a big one
Yeah.
for a boundary for steaming. So we don't
Okay.
recommend steaming in most weeks of pregnancy. The
Got it.
exception is once you've decided that your pregnancy, you're willing to give birth. So that's at a
Right.
different time. It's almost always after 37 weeks.
Okay.
But steaming, really the foundational way we believe steaming is so effective for so many womb health ailments is because it's supporting the natural release of the uterus. And so anything that we want to have that we have stagnated, that we want to say, hey, we're ready to let this go,
Yeah.
fibroids, endometriosis, old residue, old traumas. That's why it's so supportive for so many different things. So when it comes to this time of carrying, we want to have the womb really nourished and supported. And we're about adding to it with all sorts of delicious nutrients and foods and prayers and intentions, but we don't steam. So I think that it is so important, though, to consider the other things that are happening while we're steaming and allow women the opportunity to claim time for themselves during their pregnancy to receive those. And that is really intentional space to be with your womb in some quietness, in some prayer, in some acknowledgement that life is growing inside of you. And that is profoundly beautiful. And so many of us in this current culture, it can feel really hard, or very few people are going to ask you, like, oh, did you have 10, 15 minutes today to be in quiet meditation with your pregnancy? Like, you're not asked that. You're asked all these super scary questions. But if we can start creating space and conversation for that, it would be so wonderful, right?
That's amazing. That's amazing. That should be, that's what we should fucking post on social media.
Yeah.
Have you had 10 or 15 minutes?
I've been saying it so much, but this is what we're really missing. Women are just inundated with fear and all the things that they need to buy and to do, and have you exercises, and have you lifted too much weight or too little weight, or it's just like, whew. Have you had a moment to come inward and be with the heart womb access? You can steam for labor prep and then, of course, postpartum.
Okay. And I would imagine that would be extremely helpful for postpartum.
Yeah. Oh, postpartum steams, I think I can't speak to them enough. I again had the opportunity to support women for years before having the opportunity to have my own postpartum steams. So I saw it, and now living it twice. I don't know where I would be without postpartum steams on certainly a physical level, but absolutely on a emotional level. Because another thing that we are just not doing in our culture right now is creating space to integrate from birth, and integrate the beauty, integrate the grief, integrate this threshold that's crossed, certainly for the first child, but every child that comes through, there is a lot that is brought forth in terms of how that shifts the mother's identity, and to creating space to be with that in a deep honoring and celebration, and also able to hold the nuance and the paradox of other emotions, grief, sadness, exhaustion, anger, depending on how the birth went. So integrating that through the steam practice. It's also such a wonderful thing because it is time to set aside, again, just the 10, 15, 20 minutes that is time for mama to be with herself, to be in that integration space, which can mean so much for us after we've just given birth. And to have my husband and family be able to support that was so meaningful.
Oh, yeah. It's returning you home to yourself. It's helping that. That's truly what all of this is, like a pattern to return home to self. And it's through the womb. And we all came here from one.
Yep.
We all came here from one. Which, how far does this go back? Actually, I wanted to ask you that.
It goes
Do you know?
back well, Kali Garza Steamy has some beautiful documentation on her website around this, and she's gone and unearthed really cool ancient text from Ayurvedic. It's seemingly part of the Ayurvedic practice.
Wow.
So these are some of the oldest technologies and texts, and Gallic texts from Europe too. Will go back and once you're looking for it, you can see the references to either smoke or steam being used hundreds, thousands of years ago to support womb health. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, it makes so much
Absolutely.
sense, right? Because our ancestors
Yeah.
knew how to support the cleansing of the body. So they were
Yes.
constantly in ritual around
Yeah.
cleansing and anointing the skin and the chakras, like all of the ancient wisdom is really about making sure that the different organs in the system is functioning, and in that function is releasing and clearing. And so the womb is, like all other organs, beautifully designed to do just that. And we want to support the health and functioning of that and be in relationship to that support in a way that mostly in our culture right now, we don't offer to the womb and to the womb space. So I feel like it's as like old as breath work,
Oh,
we're just
yeah.
revitalizing it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, people
but
have
there are
been
these
having,
really cool pictures in ancient texts. And
yeah.
once a friend of mine sent me this like old cookbook from her great grandmother. And in somehow
Aw.
this Indian cookbook is a picture of a woman steaming, and there's a recipe for steam blends. And that was like, it's like a 200. Whoa. Yeah. I think
That's,
I should post that text thread with her. It's
you
years back,
should.
but yeah.
Was she sitting like on
Yeah.
just like, how
She
was
was
she enchanted?
squatting. She
She
was
was squatting
squatting over a
like a
pot.
pot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be. People
Yeah.
have been having sex forever. Obviously,
Yeah.
people,
Obviously, it's the way we got here too. Yeah.
people have been steaming. It seems forever. People have been having periods, all of these things. So, yeah, it would
Yeah.
totally make
Yeah.
sense. And we were so much more attuned to nature, and hospitals and all these things that we deem as like so necessary now. Like thousands of years, people didn't have babies in hospitals. They didn't have all of these things, which, of course, everything to each their own. But there's many different ways. There's many different paths up the mountain. There's many different paths home to yourself.
Yeah.
And this is something that's so sacred and so available to everyone because it's organic. It's
And it's
organic.
the elements.
Yeah.
They're available to us, thankfully. But if you have a heat source and a pot and water, you can
Right. Right. So if you need a visual break, I want to talk about today's sponsors. Oh, by the way, it's me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I created this show. I created this show because I have lived it. I faced my shit and healed myself by unraveling all of the medical and pharmaceutical lies I had been told about my endometriosis, and was able to heal myself after 17 years of debilitating pain. My experience inspired me to literally live my art. So not only did I create this podcast you're listening to right now, I first created an ongoing art series about it called Every Phase. All of the artwork you see in my clips and within this episode is from my Every Phase series, which will span for 13 years. The pieces illustrate how I healed myself as I live by the phases of the female hormonal cycle. So the artwork shows what's happening in the brain and the body during each phase and reveals how to biohack and leverage this energy in your life.
The art of this episode is cycle breaking. This is Every Phase piece number 61, the follicular phase, and it's the first piece of this 2026 Fire Horse year, arriving right on time. It's built from cyanotype, sun, and water pressed against Vanta black paint that swallows light whole. One process born in light, the other devours it. And between those two states, gold leaf, marking the threshold, marking what becomes available when a cycle finally ends and another begins. This piece lives at the same intersection as this conversation. Kit talks about steaming as a return to inner authority, a gentle, radical act of reclaiming what your body already knows. And the cycle breaker asks the same question from a different direction. What patterns are you still tolerating? What cycle are you ready to exit? The drama triangle, villain, victim, savior, keeps us looking outward while our power lives inward. Steam brings you back in, and so does this piece. If you feel called to bring it home, the collect link is in the show notes.
So I want to talk about the orgasm piece of not only obviously steaming to help with libido, But your kind of experience and knowledge with this, you speak about orgasm as something we can connect to within, right? And not just something that
Mhm.
happens externally, of course. What does it mean to access that orgasmic energy as a form of healing? And how can we connect that to the steaming?
Mhm. Yeah, beautiful. Wow. Actually, that workshop I was at where I finally was at least open enough to hear about steaming and be skeptical,
Yeah.
was because I was doing work on using orgasm for healing and
Wow.
using orgasm for really accessing our most aligned, alive life. And that's
Mhm.
really the wider work that I've been doing for years. And I believe that the way to do that as humans living with wombs has to be addressing the beautiful biology that we have and the way in which we are wired to cycle and to orgasm notably differently than men. And the
Yeah.
ancient texts talk all about this too. They got this. But in a female orgasm, it is undulating and rejuvenating
Yeah.
and energy expansive, right?
Yeah.
And so we can cultivate intentions through that experience if we
Right.
hold them and
Yeah.
allow them to really be called through the chakras and reverberate in our whole system. I also think that, again, so you pick up the thread that you want to here, but I think self pleasure is a hugely important piece
Totally.
with female orgasm as well, and
Yeah.
is such a profoundly, and has been in my own experience, healing tool for
Yes.
trauma recovery too, because we're
Yes.
reclaiming the sexual energy for
Yes.
us to love and be in reverence with just within our own system. And that can take time and it can be confronting, and it is a nonlinear healing path like they all are, and all of these caveats. And it is so to reclaim the importance of our orgasm and the way of achieving it just within our own magic.
Wow.
So steaming also, if sensuality is the gateway to sexuality, which I believe it is, and we have steam as this really gentle path toward orgasm as well. And so for so
Wow.
many of us, at any point in our time, it can feel too intense. Something has come up and it's like, orgasm's not quite aligned here, or my libido isn't here. It seems too stressful. Orgasm
Yeah.
feels like a step way too far in meeting someone. Steam usually isn't, right? It's so gentle. There's no pressure. There's no, and I'm talking about orgasm, not climax, but there's a lot of feelings like anxiety can come up when we talk about orgasm and even sexual pleasure. And there are plenty of moments when someone's just not there yet, and they might be there for steaming and just enjoying some soft, gentle consideration of the womb space, including the vulva, including the cervix, including the clitoris, and just starting to bring more awareness and intention back to these amazing powerhouse pieces of the body. So that's how I think of steaming, as just a really nice way to bring online this deepened connection with the womb, to honor the sensuality that it can carry with it, in all the ways, right? Because the herbs smell so good. So you just got all the senses and all the feelings. And so it can happen that pretty quickly people who have felt really locked down from their libido start steaming, and it comes back online. And sometimes that can happen like really almost effortlessly. And sometimes the journey is that steam helped somebody understand their block better,
Yeah.
right? Because they came into and then they get to work with that block, and they can work with the block through steam or through a different modality, a conversation that needs to happen. But all of that was available because of the moment over the pot, connecting to womb space, asking for, what am I meant to understand? What do I need to know? That sort of nudging them toward the path that's going to reignite the libido.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up. I can totally see that. I remember for myself, I had so much pain with sex, used to, and a huge part of my healing was to end that, was to come back to
Yeah.
myself. That was when I really felt like feeling where everything is. And of course, I didn't have steaming, or um I was too overwhelmed by myself, like exploring that for myself. So for me,
Yeah.
the path was pelvic floor physical therapy. And I remember, just like you were saying earlier in the episode, people talking about it. We've heard this, we've heard that. And it's so funny how it will meet you, I believe, when you're ready, when you're really ready. And it doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't mean anything about anything. Like we've been saying, there's different paths, but I can absolutely see, and I wanted to bring this up for people because it's such an embarrassment. It's such like a lot of women don't talk about the fact that maybe the reason not only are blocks, because I've also had sexual trauma and sexual abuse. It's not only that, you actually now, maybe that's manifested as a physical pain.
Yeah.
And you feel broken, you feel you don't understand. But when I started to feel where everything is, and even now with just the little steaming practice that I did, feeling again where everything is, where the vault, it's like for me, it was just the awareness of like, oh, that's the clitoris. Oh, this is the cervix. This is like feeling, just knowing, just again, the acknowledgement. It's not even like this quantum leap that we have to become some like sex magic masters. You already are. You have the technology. It's just like turning the light on, and the rest, your body knows what to do. So I can see that for being so helpful for people to overcome that kind of pain, and to just a better word, to integrate. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Wild. And I've definitely, and I've also had a lot of experience with Taoist, the healing love kind of practices. So that was another kind of, and it's not obviously steaming, but similar with a microcosmic orbit and some of the breathing techniques too, again, connecting to you back to yourself, and not just like this cerebral. Of course, we have like our places we go in our minds and like our third eye meditation, all of that, but actually embodied. Like it's a deeper knowing, like we're here and the body is its own like universe. I think we forget that. People have forgotten that because everything's so mental here.
Well, it's so mental, and we don't talk about these healing modalities and how differently they land in cycling, bleeding bodies.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, when you think about it, it's just so rare. And I watch these trends and I see these like gaping voids of saying to me, it's like, alert, alert. I freaking love cold plunges, but I'm not going to do that in my final days of luteal or while I'm bleeding. Like that would be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so much so, like for belting tomorrow, I'm gonna go up and do like an ocean swim, but it's because I'll be ovulating. Like I'm just in enough relationship to it. And so again, thank you for these conversations and just for our awareness, like intermittent fasting. No, do not do that if you're in your menstruating years. It's gonna really be problematic. You need to be nourishing while you're building your blood and releasing your blood. So these are like sound bites. I'm being a bit reductionist here, but I think my overall consideration is like, as we watch these different modalities that have so much healing for some people, just to put on the awareness of a lens of like, how will this fit into myself as a bleeding person at this time in my life? Is this designed for my cycling body or not? And maybe it's really well suited in one phase, but not another. And to just be in more of that embodiment and consideration of. And I just want to bring forth what we were talking about right before we started recording, because it's so cool, is that you've started steaming with different herbs depending on where you are in your cycle. I want to hear more about that. And
yeah. Okay. Well, I also did a fabulous episode with Amy from Sync Botanicals, and
Okay.
she created tea blends for each phase of the cycle. So I have my Every Phase project. It's ongoing for 13 years where I'm creating art. So I'm living that way for each phase of the cycle, illustrating what's happening in the brain and the body. And so, of course, I eat that as well, but I took the tea blends and just tweaked them to be my own. I like to make things my own, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really just as simple as that. And then I also I like to buy or really make, when you say like orange peel, you can buy orange peel from Amazon, or you can, I like to get oranges since I already eat and let them dry in the sun. I'm getting the energy from the sun. So you start to, or at least for me, curate it like it's its own art piece, like the art of the cycle. You're like living the art. And so these blends, what blend had I when I was steaming this first revisit? Let's say it was follicular. Yeah, it was follicular, and it was amazing. And I had some cacao in there as well. Yeah, it was either follicular or ovulatory. I forget which one, but some cacao in there. And that's why I asked the question about, I had a little thought, the mental thought comes up of well, is this going to cause a yeast infection? Are you sure you should be doing this? But I was called to it. So I was like, fuck it. Let's just do it. You can't, it's not like you can sit there and damage yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Particularly if you're using high quality natural herbs. Yeah. I think that the cacao is probably going to receive better through a tea than a steam just because of the melting aspect of it. But cacao is also such magic that I'm like, well, she could figure out something way beyond my own narrow mind as a benefit for steam. So,
but it was red raspberry leaves, cacao.
So
it was butterfly pea flowers. There was a bunch of things in there. So I live my life that way. And I'm so glad you brought that up because it's so critical for us as women to live truthfully to who we really are and not like men. And the world is created on the 9 to 5, on the testosterone driven male clock. It honors testosterone. And that's not some kind of anti-men feminist statement. That's just biological truth. That's just the truth. It is designed this way, and all these stats, all these trends, it's only for men because they're not even required to test on women in their menstruating years. They all do the testing on postmenopausal women because they're more hormonally similar to men because it's easier. And I do think, it's changing. We talked about Alyssa Vitti. She talked about, I just got an email from her that the first ever, and we're in 2026, April. Okay. I just got the first email that the first ever clinical trial proving to the eyes of Western medicine, because we've all known for thousands of years, but to the eyes of Western medicine now acknowledging that cycle syncing for women has a positive effect, has a beneficial effect. Imagine that. 2026. Here we go. Yeah. You didn't find this show by accident. If you're here, something in you is already awake. And I want to meet you where you actually are, not where a generic newsletter thinks you are. So I built something. It is called the Living Art Personality Quiz. 7 questions, about 60 seconds. And at the end, you find out if you are the art renegade, the biohacker, or the sovereign. And then I send you a free curated guide plus recommendations that are built specifically around your result. Not a one-size-fits-all download. Something built for the version of you that just answered those 7 questions. The link is in the show notes. Find it there, and you will be the first to hear about my latest work as we live the art.
It just brings me to this line I used to say years ago, which is I can't wait for the science. It's just I am not willing to wait for you science people to tell me what I already know.
Don't wait.
So I'm not anti-science. I don't mind
Right.
the studies.
Right.
Thank goodness I met Alyssa 10 years ago and she's changed my life completely because of her work. It wasn't like, oh, let me just put this information aside because science hasn't proved it yet. That would have been not the right thing for my path. So yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
It's insane. It's insane. Don't wait. And don't wait for anyone to tell
Don't wait
you.
for anyone or anything. Exactly.
No,
Like
you're your own authority.
gosh.
Don't wait. Someone in a lab coat's not there to tell you it's okay. Put the lab coat on yourself and look in the mirror and say it's okay. Because
It's
you
okay.
are. Yeah, you're your own authority. You're your own authority. That's the basis of all of this work, really. You have to be willing to be your own authority. And that's so much of the bulk of the healing. Because the body goes, oh my God, you're listening to me now. Oh, thank God. Oh, we don't have to have this thought. Oh, we don't have to have this fight. Oh, you don't have to feed me these things where I tell you, no, that's not working over and over. It's like
Totally.
acceptance, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which brings us to the finale, the best part of the episode, the biohacking with art question. Are you ready?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, I'm not sure. But I'm open.
She's steamed and she's ready. I feel it. If you could express the essence of Yoni steaming, not just the practice, but the transformation that it creates as a piece of art, using any medium, anything, what would you create? And what would you want her to feel in her body when she experiences it?
What would I want the viewer of the art to feel in their
Could
body
be a
as
man.
they
Yeah.
experience it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to work from that place actually and share
Okay.
also an image that just came through before you asked the question, which is interesting.
Ooh.
So,
Okay.
but what I would want to feel is the love and compassion and the fierce strength of compassion and the deep love of the divine feminine and the existence of her in you. Again, and to your point, regardless of the gender identity or anatomy of whoever is viewing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw was this like blank canvas, but then above it, and you're the artist, so I don't know how this would be created, but above it, these almost like, do you know this Indian festival about splashing color?
Oh yeah, the color. It's just I call it the color. It has actually a color festival.
So it's like if you could throw those little particles of paint and have them secure, but be these little particles that make up the vulva, and have them land as these like particles floating above the canvas in a powerful array. And what was coming through was like blue on the like outer labias and then working toward into pink and yellows. And
Wow.
so that's what I would create if I knew how.
Like a map.
Yeah.
It's like a map.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And just all the different little magic of all the different little morsels of paint and color coming in. So it's like ethereal and magical and so beautiful that it's deeply powerful.
Wow. And it'd be on canvas. Because
The canvas would be there, but it would be floating above it. It would be 3-dimensional.
Oh, it'd be floating above the canvas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because the throwing the colors forming that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if there's some way to like throw it and then lock it in place.
Yeah. And so the canvas only becomes the container for after that moment.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome. That's so cool. That's so
Cool.
freaking cool. And it's so aligned because it is a map. What you're doing is you're giving women a map. You really are.
Yeah.
You're giving everyone that wants to steam a map.
Yeah.
A map. It is. It's a map back home to yourself through the womb. And it's like the way that you've created, of course, our bodies know, but the way that you've created everything around it to support that, it's like not having the map, whether it's steaming, whether it's you're pregnant and you're, taking your 10 to 15 minutes, it's like not having the map is what we find ourselves lost.
Yeah, we
It
find
gets
ourselves
hard.
lost. Right.
It gets
right,
hard.
right.
It gets really, really hard. And it's not saying we're necessarily dependent on anything, but it's like it's reconnecting you to what your inner authority and what your inner kind of landscape really is.
That's exactly
Wow.
right. You have a beautiful transmission of steam. Thank you so much for sharing
Aw.
it. Yeah.
Well, it's been such an honor, and it's been a steamy, good chat here with you today. Tell us where people can find you, where they can learn more about your work. We'll list all of this, of course, in the show notes, but where can they connect with you and learn more?
Great. So kitaralove.com has a ton of information and where we have all of our products and services available. And I am starting a Substack that I'm really excited about. So come find me over there. And that's where I'm going to be speaking more to steaming and womb work for manifesting and for really coming into the highest expression of aliveness. And then we also are on Instagram at BY Kitara. So by Kitara. Those are going to be great places if you're a podcast listener, which you are because you're listening to me right now. We do have Womb Stories Project. This is where I got to speak with a wide variety of women about their healing journeys and usually how steam has supported them on them. And so we're having some good, juicy conversations over there. And I'm really excited that the timing of my life, now my kids are just a little bit older. So we started this podcast years ago and it was on pause for a couple of years. And just these past months have brought it back up.
Yay. Yes, that podcast. Guys, go listen.
Yeah.
Womb Stories. Seriously. So powerful. So powerful. And I'm again so
we got to have you on it.
I'd love to be. I'd absolutely love to be. And I'm so stoked that you are going to be on Substack. I've been over on Substack. Everyone cool. Let me tell you, everyone cool is like, I'm going
over there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as noisy, I guess I would say. It's really for people that want to learn, want to read, want to go in depth about something. And so that's going to be really fun. I definitely am going to put that. Whenever you have it set up, we'll put it in the show notes and put the links and all of that.
Perfect.
So we'll absolutely put all these resources we chatted about today and more in the show notes. And I hope I know everyone is going to be able to take something away from this steam-filled conversation, clarifying conversation to help them go out, face their shit, steam their shit, therefore healing themselves. And remember, as always, the truth will set you free. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Thank you.
If you liked this episode, or if you think this show would be useful for someone else, the best way you can show your support is to share it on your social media outlets with family and friends, or leave a review on podchaser.com, comment on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. You can also pick up a signed copy of my book, Face Your Shit, Heal Yourself. Thank you so much for listening and for having the bravery to face your shit and heal yourself.